What's up everyone, I'm CallumOnToast, and in today's video I'm going to be showcasing some of my first battles this season in the Great League Remix Cup. Now you guys will know that Wing Attack did receive a buff for this season. It's the only move to receive a buff, and it now gains 1 more energy, and it makes Pokemon like Noctowl, Pelipper, Gliscor, Pidgeot so much stronger. But I'm sure you've already seen a ton of showcases already from other PvP YouTubers featuring those Pokemon. So on this channel we're going to be focusing on some of the spicier Pokemon that do learn Wing Attack, and to start things off I'm going to be looking at both forms of Moltres to see which form performs better and which one benefits the most from the Wing Attack buff. Now before we get into the battles, let's start with the question of the day. Which Pokemon do you think is the most underrated Wing Attack user that has benefited massively from the buff to Wing Attack? Let me know in the comment section below, and with that being said, let's get into the battles now. Alright, so going into the first battle here, you will see that we're only using the Shadow Moltres. Of course, we can't use 2 forms of Moltres on the same team in the Go Battle League, so we're going to have to use 2 different teams here. We lead into a Steelix, we're going to go straight for a Superpower and then swap into our own Steelix. They go for a Psychic Fangs, lower my defense. I'm going for my own Psychic Fangs, and my opponent no-shots it with their Toxicroak. That is double super effective damage, and with the Shadow Steelix, it's enough to barely take out the Toxicroak after 1 more Dragon Tail, and we do regain switch advantage. We're also able to land a Crunch that does big damage, and they go for a Psychic Fangs, not enough to take me out. I swap into my Shadow Moltres here, and we're up against a Toxapex here, a very bulky water type Pokemon, so this should be an awful matchup for us. But because we do have that Wing Attack buff, we're going to be able to get to 3 Sky Attacks here, and we will get both shields from the Toxapex here. It's actually a CMP tie, which is perfect because that will now allow me to get to the 3rd Sky Attack, and this will do massive damage, and it puts them into range where a Leaf Blade is easily going to be enough to take out the Toxapex, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to that opponent there. Into the next game, we're going to be leading into a Wigglytuff, so we're going to play this pretty similarly here. Go for a Leaf Blade straight away and then swap into my Steelix. Steelix is the safe swap, and you guys might know that Shadow Steelix is the #1 rated Pokemon for the Great League Remix, so typically I don't go for very meta Pokemon, but I've just built this Pokemon and I might as well give it a try. We get destroyed by a Magcargo, massive core breaker for the team. It actually beats all 3 Pokemon, especially when Steelix is not running Earthquake. We're going for a Superpower, it gets shielded on the CMP tie here. They're going for another Overheat, and they do lower their attack even further. We're going to go for the Superpower, and we are now able to take out the Magcargo, and they've got a Whimsicott in the back, which is perfect because we have a Shadow Kanto Moltres. We take them out with the Sky Attack. They've obviously got the Wigglytuff in the lead. We go for another Sky Attack and we take out the Double Charm team. And it's worth noting that Charm, of course, did receive a nerf this season. It does 1 less damage, so even though with that Charm nerf, that Shadow Moltres really didn't hold up very well there up against the Double Charmers. But into this game here, my opponent safe swaps into a Pelipper. I don't really have a response here, so I'm going to let the first move go through, calling the bait, and then I catch the second one onto the Steelix. Of course, it is super effective, but honestly, I'm just using Steelix as a damage sponge here, and now I should be able to come in with my Shadow Moltres, fully farm down the Pelipper, and we're going to see what they come in with next. They're actually coming in with the Machamp, which is a bit odd. Maybe they have a really strong counter to Lurantis in the back, and that probably is going to be the case here, as I am able to fully farm down the Machamp here. I have back-to-back Sky Attacks here, and unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to get to a 3rd here, so all I can do is hope I get a shield from the Crobat here, but I'm not able to, and I can go for a Sky Attack here. It's going to get shielded. They're going to be able to fully farm me down, and I do lose that game there. So I think I might have just slightly misplayed that. Not really sure what I could have done instead, but we do lose that game there. But into the next game here, my opponent swaps into a Razor Leaf Grottle here, and honestly, I'm just going to shield this. I should be able to fully farm them down, and I'm not really comfortable in tanking a Body Slam here. You see, the Razor Leafs already get us into the yellow health. That's pretty insane, seeing as it's double resisted. But here we go for a Sky Attack, get the shield, going for the Overheat, and we one-shot the Obstagoon there, which is perfect. They're going to come in with a Gardevoir, and we've put them already low enough where we can probably just come in with the Lurantis here, go for back-to-back Leaf Blades, and with a few more Fury Cutters, that should be enough damage to take out the Gardevoir. But if not, we've still got the Steelix, but it is enough to take them out anyway, and we're able to take that game there. So GG's to that opponent there. Into the next game, we see another Steelix in the lead. Going to be a pretty common Pokemon here. So once again, going to go for a Superpower and Dip. They do let it go through once again, and that is what I like about Lurantis in the lead, is that we can just go for those Superpowers and then just swap out, and the debuff doesn't matter. Once again, my opponent swapping into a Toxicroak here, and I'm actually going to shield here because I do now have enough energy to go for a Psychic Fangs, and what I really want is to get all shields down, and I'm able to do that. I can come in with Moltres. Are they at the Sludge Bomb? Yeah, I'm going to call it. They were at the Sludge Bomb. They take us out, and that is going to end the game here because, yeah, Moltres with an energy advantage is absolutely deadly, but that was just a poor play by me. I didn't count the fast moves. They were at the Sludge Bomb. I called the bait, and here we're barely not able to get to the Leaf Blade here, and Steelix is able to Dragon Tail, farm me down, and take that game. So well played to my opponent there. Into the next game, we lead into a Salazzle. You guys know I'm a massive fan of Salazzle here, but honestly, it's not got the best matchup up against Steelix because we can go for the Psychic Fangs here. This will do big damage. Well, it's probably going to take them out here. They actually try and farm me down, but I'm able to farm them down, despite them dealing super effective damage and me dealing neutral damage. So you just see that Shadow Steelix is an absolute monster, and it doesn't feel right using it. You guys know that I love to use spicier Pokemon, so actually I do change up the team for the second half of this video, so I won't be running Steelix for the full video. So here, we're going to call the bait here. It is just a Brine, and that is fine. I'm going to overfarm just a tiny bit, go for the Leaf Blade, take them out here, and they have got a Wormadam Trash in the back, and we should be very comfortable here. We're going to go for a Superpower, barely not able to get to another one before the confusion damage registers, so we settle for a Leaf Blade, but that's fine. We're going to come in with the Moltres, and assuming they're not allowed back-to-back moves, we're going to be able to get to a Sky Attack here. No need to go for the Overheat. Sky Attack takes out the Wormadam, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to that opponent there. Into the next game, we lead into a Toxapex this time, and we don't really have two answers, so I just swap into the Steelix. I know this is my hard answer here, but they're staying in, so perhaps they are weak to Steelix in the pack. We can comfortably tank two Brines here, but if they are staying in, then like I said, perhaps they are going to be weak to the Steelix, so I might consider shielding here, and I actually do consider shielding, only for them to swap into an Obstagoon, so they just played me like really well there, making me think that Steelix was really worthwhile to keep, and they've just got an answer to it anyway, so they swap into the Obstagoon. We're able to get to a Leaf Blade here. We should actually hang on and fully Fury Cutter farm down and leave with almost no HP remaining. They come in with an Alolan Raticate, so a nice double dark normal type backline there, so very cool ABB style team. We're going to go for a Sky Attack, we get the shield, and we're able to swap and catch the move perfectly, and it's actually a return, so they waste so much energy there, and at this point all I have to do is build to the back-to-back Sky Attacks, and that way if they do catch, it doesn't matter because we have to throw two Sky Attacks anyway. We take out the Raticate here, we're able to get to the Sky Attack number 2, take out the Toxapex, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to that opponent there. Into the next game, we lead into a Lapras. Bit of a core breaker, except they're running Water Gun, so that's actually quite nice for us. I panic a little bit here. I go for a Superpower, but we get a shield from the Blaziken, which is fine. Here, I'm going to shield this up. It could be a Stone Edge. It's not. It's just a Blaze Kick. But honestly, if it was a Blast Burn, that probably would have still taken me out. So yeah, I had to shield there. We go for a Sky Attack bait. We're able to get to an Overheat before they can Water Gun farm me down. An Overheat one-shots the Lapras. Lapras is a very bulky Pokemon, and we just completely destroyed it, which is insane. We're going to go for a Superpower here, swap into the Steelix, just force them to go for Superpowers, lower their own defense, but they do go and bait me there. Makes sense, they don't want to lower their defense straight away, but they go for the second one here. We still tank it. Steelix is an absolute beast, and I'm able to take that game. Into the next game here, we lead into a dub wall here, so once again, gonna go for a Superpower and then dip into the Steelix. And we do catch a move here, so this will be a resisted move. They actually went for a Wild Charge, which is kind of crazy really, because Wild Charge is still resisted by Lurantis. We go for a Psychic Fangs, we get a shield from that Poliwrath, and we're happy to let the Steelix go down. We can come in with the Moltres, get a ton of farm with the wing attacks here. We probably will have to shield, it could be a Scald here, so I'm going to shield this up. It is a Scald, they don't get the attack drop, which is really nice for me. And now they're going to come in with an Alolan Marowak here, so I'm going for the Sky Attack. Sky Attack gets the final shield. I'm able to get to another one already, so we are spamming these Sky Attacks. And I'm able to swap here, make an unnecessary catch for no reason whatsoever. And actually this kind of helps them here, but they're going to swap into the double. I don't need to shield this. This is of course a Shadow Moltres showcase, so I'm going to go all the way to the overheat here and throw the unnecessary charge move, and we take out the Alolan Marowak and take that game. So GG's to that opponent there, and into the final battle with the Shadow Cantonian Moltres. We're going to go for a Leaf Blade, and once again we're going to swap and try to catch the move on the Steelix, and we're perfectly able to, plus we get a full Dragon Tail through, which is really nice. They're going to be able to get to the charge move on the CMP tie with my Crunch, so I go for an extra Dragon Tail here. My opponent swaps into a Pelipper. I'm going for a Psychic Fangs here, and I have to go for another Psychic Fangs straight away, otherwise once again it will be a CMP tie. Now my opponent knows they can overfarm slightly, and it's a pretty nice overfarm there, making sure they take me out before I get to the next charge move. And at this point, I'm going to come in with Lurantis, force them to throw a Hurricane if they can get there, but it doesn't look like they're able to, which is perfect. I take them out with the Leaf Blade. I'm going to come in with my Moltres here. We go for the overheat already. This will easily be enough to one-shot the Golbat there, and I'm still going to be able to get to a Sky Attack. And it's a CMP tie here. Maybe they're at the back-to-back here, but it doesn't matter. Sky Attack, able to take out the Frostlass there, and I'm able to take that game. Alright, so heading into the second part of the video, you see this team is a little bit spicier here. We've gotten rid of the Steelix, we're actually leading with a Litleo, and this is a pretty good lead for us here. We do resist everything apart from the Brutal Swing or the Sludge, but obviously they went for an overheat there, so they're probably not running it, and we should have been able to survive whatever they throw next. So they do make a swap into the Jellicent. We get a shield with that Crunch here, and we're going to swap into my Shadow Manectric, and you'll notice we're actually not running any electric type moves. And the thinking behind this was that if we safe swap it and bait out a Steelix or something, overheat will absolutely one-shot a Steelix, but unfortunately it didn't work out for me, and I didn't actually see any Steelix in the counter swap position. So yeah, I do actually end up changing the middle Pokemon for this team about 3 times, so do bear that in mind. But here we're going to see the closing power of the Moltres here. We can go for a Brave Bird, we're already at 100 energy, and now we can go for an Ancient Power, and this will just be enough to take out the Obstagoon there, and we actually get a boost there. Pointless boost, you love to see it. But into the next game here, we lead into a Noctowl, and unfortunately with Incinerate, you can't really be intricate with your catches, so I'm forced to switch after 2 Incinerates, meaning my opponent has ample time to make sure they don't throw the Sky Attack straight away and go for a Shadow Ball instead. They're actually going to swap into their own electric type here. Brutal Swing is going to be enough to take me out. I was kind of annoyed that they did shield that first move there. I wasn't really expecting people to be expecting the overheat, but unfortunately not really working out for me here. They go for a Focus Blast up against my Litleo. I was expecting that, but I was hoping for a Galarian Moltres sweep, but unfortunately that looks like it's going to be impossible because they've got a Dedenne. We actually get the Ancient Power boost. Can we get another one? Can we be 3 for 3 here? No, unfortunately not. And the only way I'm going to win here is if I do live one of those discharges, but I'm not able to, so I do lose that game. So GG's to my opponent there, of course. Into the next game here, we lead into a Electrode, regular Electrode here, and once again, they've got a Pokemon that is weak to Electric, but unfortunately, I can't really do anything here. I go for a Psychic Fangs, I'm now going for the resisted overheat, and they do double shield. Honestly, I should have expected that because a Wild Charge would easily take them out there, so maybe it was the right play to go for double Psychic Fangs there, but still, we have lowered their defense just enough, so a Brave Bird will easily be enough to take them out here. And we actually swap into Litleo. They actually came in with Charizard, but then they swap into the Electrode here, and I'm going to call that we can live this. It's just a foul play, and we're barely able to survive with 1 HP here. Take them out with that Crunch, and now we're going to be able to get to an Ancient Power, and that should be enough to take out the Charizard, of course. Galarian Moltres is a bit bulkier than the Kantonian version, but Ancient Power still enough to take out the Charizard there, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to that opponent there. Into the next game, we lead into a Shadow Dragonite. Not a very good lead for us here, and I'm going to swap into the Manectric. I will get a shield with the Psychic Fangs here, but honestly, we've done like almost no damage to them. They fully farm me down, and they're almost certainly going to be able to get a shield back here, and we are going to shield the first move. It's just a Dragon Claw, so we should be able to live the second one, but actually we're going to double shield here and hope we can wing attack, farm them down, and we are able to, which is really good here. We're going to see what they have in the back. Unfortunately, it looks like it's an Ice Shard and it's a Dugong here, so doesn't look like there's going to be an awful lot we can do here, and they've actually got a double Water and Ice backline there with Lapras as well, so things are not looking great for us here. We should be able to tank a Surf, and they will be able to farm me down here if they do choose to shield, but they're going to let the Crunch go through. It makes sense. We're barely able to get to another Crunch here. Can we get the final shield? We're able to, and unfortunately, we don't get the debuff, but we win the CMP tie. Is Ancient Power enough to take them out? No, it's not. And once again, we do get another pointless boost here. So unfortunately, all 3 boosts so far have come either at the end of the game where it doesn't matter, or in a matchup where a boost just isn't going to change anything and we're still going to lose. But anyways, here we see we have the Hisuian Electrode now instead. And this is a scenario where it would have been better to have that Manectric, but that's fine here. We go for a Wild Charge first. Now we're going for an Energy Ball, expecting a shield, and of course, Energy Ball does have that opportunity to lower my opponent's defense, so that is why I did go for it here. Here we should be able to resist everything, but they go for a Leaf Storm, and that does massive damage, and at this point I'm not sure if I'd actually be able to fully farm them down, so I do swap into the Litleo here, and of course that's going to mean I'm aligned back with the Obstagoon once again. I'm actually going to shield this up. I'm expecting another Obstruct, and it is, but honestly, I kind of have to preserve the Litleo's health here. I don't want this Obstagoon to obstruct my Galarian Moltres too many times here. So I'm going to let this move go through. Obstruct, of course, resisted. It has lowered my defense, but fortunately for me, they've got a Confusion Victini in the back, and we should easily be able to take this game here. We go for the Ancient Power first, go for the Brave Bird, and I'm able to take out the Victini there and take that game. So GG's to that opponent there. Into the next game, we lead into a Steelix. My opponent's going to swap into a Pelipper here, and even though we're dealing double super effective damage here, this is actually a really close matchup, which is kind of insane because we of course do resist the Weather Balls as well, but here we have to go for Wild Charges, and that does lower my defense, meaning it's going to be a bit trickier for me to win this here. We lose the CMP tie, which actually might be a blessing in disguise here because we don't lower our defense. Now I can go for the Wild Charge here and just barely make it to one more Wild Charge before we go down, so we barely take back switch advantage against a Pelipper with our Hisuian Electrode. So Pelipper absolutely busted right now. But here, my opponent swaps, trying to catch the charge move there. Very nice play, but I don't fall for it. And once again, my opponent is running Obstruct, so I'm going for the Ancient Power first this time. We don't get a boost, but that is absolutely fine. Even with another Obstruct here, a Brave Bird should be enough from this range to take them out here. And Steelix isn't going to be able to get an awful lot of farm here. Actually, they do get 3 Dragon Tails farm, but we're going to be able to get to the back-to-back Flame Charges here. They go for the Psychic Fangs here. They don't have Earthquake clearly, and they don't go for a Crunch. It's a CMP tie here, and we're able to win it with the Flame Charge from the Litleo, and I'm able to take that game there. So GG's to that opponent there. Into the next game, we lead into another Shadow Steelix. My opponent's going to swap into Noctowl here, and honestly, I'm just going to let this move go through, and then swap into the Hisuian Electrode, and here, I should be able to win back switch advantage, but I figured that with a energy advantage, this Noctowl should be able to put in work up against my Electrode, so I wasn't too sure, so I did just let the first move go through and then swap once we're on even energy. And here we go for a CMP tie here with the Noctowl, and I should be able to make it to the Wild Charge just before they get to the next move, so they do smartly swap out there, but I'm able to go for the Energy Ball, and now a Flame Charge should be enough to take out the Steelix from this range here, and they do have to throw a move to take me out here before I get to the Crunch, so very nicely timed by my opponent here. And at this point, I'm going to come in with my Galarian Moltres, CMP tie with the next Sky attack here. Ancient Power, going to be taking out the Noctowl. They have a Pelipper in the back. All I have to do is go for the Brave Bird, but instead I try to catch the move. That was pointless because now I lose CMP, and Hurricane is enough to take out the Galarian Moltres, and that was just a massive misplay by me. So yeah, I don't know what to say about that. That was just very poor from me. And now into the final few battles. We're now running the Shadow Ampharos with the new Brutal Swing here. And you're going to see it's very useful in matchups like this where we would otherwise get absolutely walled. But we're actually going to be able to get a shield from this matchup here, which is very nice. And my opponent doesn't commit to the farm down, so that is great. They're actually running Rock Tomb, which is a big surprise. And that does kind of mean that it's a little bit harder to farm them down without shielding here, because obviously a Sand Tomb wouldn't do too much damage, but yeah, Rock Tomb gonna be super effective against both Pokemon in the back. My opponent gets to a Feather Dance, they lower my attack, which is not great. I've built up to the back-to-back Ancient Powers or thereabouts. We go for the first one here, we go for one more Wing Attack, get to the second Ancient Power here, and my opponent is just barely gonna be able to get to another charge move here before I get to the third one. But we do have the back-to-back flame charges loaded. We go for the first one, take out the Pidgeot, we go for the second one here, and this flame charge is going to be enough to take out the Shadow Hitmonchan, and we're able to take that game there. So GG's to that opponent there. Into the next game, we lead into a Gardevoir. Very nice lead for us here. My opponent swaps into a Hitmonchan this time, and we're going to go for the Ancient Power. We throw before they go for a charge move here, and at this point I think I'm just going to commit both shields and fully Wing Attack farm them down, because if I do go for a charge move of my own, I do risk them potentially getting to another charge move themselves. But here we now have a Brave Bird loaded. This will be getting the final shield from my opponent, so I'm happy with that. They're going to swap into an Ice Fang Hippowdon here, so I'm going to go for a Flame Charge. Flame Charge does massive damage. I'm just going for the Crunch straight away, and I should still be able to outpace this Gardevoir before they get to the next charge move. And from this range, a boosted Crunch is going to be enough to take out the Gardevoir, and I'm able to take that game. So Litleo honestly putting in a ton of work. Galarian Moltres really not doing an awful lot, but into the next game here, we lead into a Shadow Dragonite, or was it a regular Dragonite? I wasn't paying too much attention. But anyways, we're going to save swap into our Ampharos, and we're counter swapped with a Dugong, which is a very interesting decision here. I'm going for the Brutal Swing. Unfortunately, now I'm not running Thunder Punch. We actually have to double shield in this matchup to take out this Dugong here. My opponent comes in with their Shadow Dragonite. We're going for another Brutal Swing here, and we do get the final shield from my opponent, which is really nice here. My opponent goes for a CMP type, but this is great. No move is going to take me out here, and Dragon Claw is actually going to do less damage than that superpower. We go for the Ancient Power, we take them out. It's Lapras up against Litleo, but unfortunately for my opponent, they throw on alignment, meaning I get a full Incinerate through, which is perfect because that is my only win con, to get the full Incinerate through and then get to another Flame Charge here, and Flame Charge takes out the Lapras, and I take that game. So GG's to that opponent there. So that's going to be it for today's video. Let me know in the comment section down below which Moltres form you thought benefits the most from the Wing Attack buff this season. I'm going to have to go with the Shadow Moltres, because I think before the buff, honestly, it was just awful, almost unusable, because it was just too slow to get to the overheat, and since that's the main source of damage, if you're not getting to that nuke charge move, then there's really no point running it. Whereas now, obviously it gets to the moves a lot faster, and it just makes it so much more consistent and so fun to run as well. You guys know I love running these glass cannon Pokemon, and of course it's super satisfying nuking bulky Pokemon like Lapras with a neutral charge move, so I just had to go for the Shadow Moltres. Of course the Galarian version does also benefit, but I think it was already reasonably strong, so I don't think it is improved as much as the Shadow version, so that's why I have to go for the Cantonian Shadow Moltres. So if you did enjoy today's video, then make sure you leave a like, leave a comment letting me know, and as well don't forget to respond to the question of the day if you haven't done so already. And if you want to see more content like this in the future and you're not yet subscribed, then make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on post notifications, and that way you're going to be notified whenever I upload a new video. And with that being said, let's get into the shoutouts from my previous video. So firstly, I want to say that a lot of you did go for a Poison Fang nerf and a Charm nerf, which we saw both of them this season, so well done for you guys if you did mention it, but there were quite a lot of you, so I'm not going to be shouting out any of you guys, but instead, firstly, we're going to look at Ripley32, who says definitely give Galarian Linoon a dark type charge move so I can actually hit ghosts. And of course, having the same typing as its evolution, the normal and dark typing is able to triple resist ghost types, but it really can't hit for any super effective damage against them, so a dark type charge move would hugely benefit this Pokemon. Next we got Ty Whitson, who says Klefki with Fairy Wind. Now I was kind of disappointed seeing as we saw a Charm nerf that they didn't really counter that with any sort of bonus to fairy types, so I'd have really liked to see Fairy Wind distributed to more fairy types, and especially Klefki is one of those Pokemon that would benefit massively. The same typing as Mawar but with a different set of charge move just makes it a little bit more unique. And finally, you've got Daryl Nukem 777, who says Yawn buff, please for the love of God, just change it from 4 turns to 3 turns and it'll be fine. Sincerely, the slacking guy. And this is a trainer that comments quite frequently about their slacking usage in the Open Master League and how fun it is to run, so I can understand why they want to see a Yawn buff, but I think making it 3 turns would actually make it really strong, so I'm not sure Niantic want to do that, so I don't necessarily agree with this buff, but I just thought it was fun, and so that's why I'm giving them a shout out. But with that being said, thank you all so much for watching today's video, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.